Was Mr. Armstrong here? No. Ms. Nelson, can you reach out to Mr. Armstrong, please?
Hi, it's me, Judge Michelle. I am checking on that right now.
Well, hello, Ms. Hansberry.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Nice to hear your voice. If you could check with Mr. Armstrong.
Yes, I'll let you know.
Thanks. Ms. Hansberry, anything from the DA's office?
No, Judge, nothing yet. I just sent you an email. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Let me check. Huh. Well, how have you been, Mr. Hort?
Well, yeah, we have a little bit of time. I can tell you everything, I guess.
You can start.
This crazy world is getting to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was a spicy day on Capitol Hill for Secretary Kennedy.
Oh, really?
He had to testify in the Senate Finance Committee.
all the people from his CDC that wants him to resign.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they don't hold the cards in that relationship.
I can't think that the president cares that much about RFK. It's funny how your hope is Epstein and the president's helped. So those are my two wishes. What a world is that?
Well, at least we have a president who had a law degree.
Ms. Hansberry, can you just have Adam send someone from appeals here? It'd be great if it's Mr. Armstrong because he's got the institutional knowledge, but we've got everyone else, so we need an ADA here.
Yes, I will do that. I just reached out to their group on internet, on email as well.
Okay, great.
This case is going on longer than anybody thought, but I hate to put some other ADA in that spot.
You're not putting anyone in any spot.
Oh, I know, I'm just saying that, obviously, Kevin is the one you would want, state would want here. And I hate to have some ADA and try to fill those shoes without everything that's happened over the last months here.
What I understand remains is you're going to wrap up your direct examination of Mr. Singleton, and then we'll see if the state has any cross-examination. And if they don't, they don't. That is a state issue, not a Mr. Singleton issue.
Just saying, I've been asked Leslie, but if you wanted us to come back on another day.
I don't want us to come back on another day. So we will get a warm body in a chair at that table, and then you'll be able to get going.
I could suggest things, have Susan go with.
A warm body with an access card to the DA's office, preferably also with a bar license.
I do have that.
Yep, you're halfway there. Just need that DA access card.
Say, is everything okay with Kevin? I mean, never been late.
He hasn't. I don't know. I trust he's okay and just otherwise occupied, and maybe didn't get this one on his calendar.
Can't happen. Now, back in the day, I used to wait 15 minutes and then,
Then what did you do?
we started,
Oh, you started without him?
you know,
Oh, dear.
Judge Kevin just responded. He said he'll be there in just a few minutes. He had it on his calendar for tomorrow, not today.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Your Honor, I'm profoundly sorry.
It's all right. While you get set up, we're going to get started if that's okay.
Perfectly fine.
Let's get on the record. You should know, Mr. Hort was worried about your well-being, said it wasn't like you to not be here. You have a good track record of being here, ready to go. So we figured either you were stuck underneath the bus or you had the wrong date and time on your calendar.
I had it for tomorrow morning for some reason.
Well, it's this afternoon. So let's get on the record. Mr. Singleton, are you able to hear us?
Yes, sir.
Great. This is 00SC09016, State versus Singleton. And we are continuing the motion for new trial hearing. We have Mr. Hort here on Mr. Singleton's behalf. Mr. Armstrong is here for the state. When we last ended, we were in the midst of the direct examination of Mr. Singleton, and I'll ask Mr. Hort to continue that, to manage everyone's expectations. I think we're probably going to need to stop at 4:30, but I'll keep you posted on that. Okay?
Does Mr. Singleton need to be resworn?
Sure, why not? Here comes Deputy Gordon. It's good to get him involved.
You raise your right hand. You swear affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got.
Yes, sir. Leslie Singleton.
Can you spell your first name for the record, please?
Leslie.
All right, Mr. Hort.
Thank you, Your Honor. At our last hearing, Mr. Singleton,
Can you move the camera a little bit so the court reporter can see you? Just that monitor rotates. So if I want you to stand where you want to stand, but there you go. Okay. And now if you go back to where you were, perfect. Everyone can see you.
thank you. Mr. Singleton, at our last hearing, you told us about the conversation you had with Mr. Waters in Clayton County prior to that trial. Did Gashard ever talk to you before the trial about Waters' expected testimony or during the trial about the truthfulness of his testimony?
Before the trial, the only thing that Gashard told me about Waters' testimony was that what he says determines if he let me testify. That was the only thing he gave me. So depending on what he says will determine if you get on the stand.
In Waters' letter, which is defendant's proposed exhibit B, he talked about
Objection, Your Honor. A direct question of this individual about whether facts are correct is one thing. Reading him something that is not even in evidence is, I think, inappropriate for a question.
It sounded like you were about to read from whatever was in B, which is not in evidence. And so I shouldn't hear about its contents. Maybe you weren't going there, but I think it was right to have the objection cut you off. Were you about to say, hey, in Exhibit B, there's this statement from Mr. Waters?
well, I can tell you what I was going to say or the question I was going to ask.
Well, what I want to know is, does your question include you reading from Exhibit B?
No,
Does it include you summarizing what's in Exhibit B?
it says that Waters,
I don't want you to tell me what B says. You were about to tell me what your question says?
well, my question is whether Gashard ever asked or talked to Leslie about this,
About what?
the verbal and physical abuse on Waters and Merez by law enforcement.
Okay. So ask that question.
Okay. So did Mr. Gashard ever talk to you about the verbal and physical abuse on Waters and David Merez by law enforcement?
Objection, seems facts not in evidence.
Well, if Mr. Gashard talked to Mr. Singleton about that, then he talked to Mr. Singleton about that. I'm not assuming or accepting that Waters or Merez were physically abused by law enforcement. But if Mr. Gashard said, hey, you better do X because these other guys got beat up by the police, that's something Mr. Gashard said to his client. And that's what I heard the question was, did Gashard say X? Why don't you ask the question again?
Okay, did Gashard ever investigate or talk to you before the trial about verbal or physical abuse by the police on Waters and Merez?
No, sir.
Now, you've already testified about law enforcement mistreatment of you in Fulton and Clayton County. Did Gashard ever investigate or talk to you about that?
He never talked to me about it, but he said he'll handle it. And that was about as far as we got with it. When I came back to the facility, he said he'll handle it. And that was the end I actually heard from it outside of, you know, when me and him had our confrontation.
Did he do anything to handle it, to your knowledge?
Not that I know of.
Now, Ybarra testified at the trial that you showed him the gun and that you said you found it in the woods. And I'm referencing volume 2, page 530. And I do have a copy for Mr. Armstrong. What, if anything, can you tell us about that?
Well, if you know about the case in Clayton County, it was more than myself there. But that was just something that we said to, one, not get people involved in it, you know, and that was like the quickest thing. You know, Mingo was with me from the moment I came back from the hospital. He was the first person that I really seen when I woke up. And that was the story that we kind of put together just to not only keep him out of the situation, but keep everybody that was there out of the situation that I just found it, you know.
By Mingo, you mean Mr. Ybarra?
Yeah, Mingo's Ybarra. That's his name.
Okay.
My bad.
So then was Mr. Ybarra with you in Clayton County when this thing happened with the Officer Poplis?
Yeah, he most definitely was.
Did Gishard ever investigate or talk to you about any threats or promises to Mingo or Mr. Ybarra?
Did Gishard ever talk to me about any promises or threats to Mingo or Ybarra? No, not at all.
Did Greenberg ever talk to you about any of this?
Nah, not most definitely not Greenberg, but I didn't even know Gishard knew. Nobody knew about Mingo until trial. Honestly, like as far as this being a state's witness, so he most definitely didn't say anything to me about it.
So by that, Gishard didn't ask you about this state witness? What, if anything, you could tell him about Mr. Ybarra?
Not at all. He, you know, at that time, everybody thought that I was the one that told on my co-defendants. I was still, you know, supposed to have been the one that told on my co-defendants, but nobody knew that Ybarra was in the mix, and it was just, you know, people talking in the streets is a different thing, but nobody knew for sure until he came to trial. That's who the state witness was. Now, Gishard might have known, but we didn't know as far as the children. I mean, we, you know, the people involved, we didn't know.
Did Gishard ever talk to you about his Butts County arrest in 1995 and the 1998 conviction, or would he be willing to waive any conflict of interest because of what happened to him in Butts County?
Not at all. Never heard about it until actually recently.
Did Gishard ever talk to you about using a juvenile behavior expert?
No.
Did you even know about the juvenile behavior expertise of Susan Wardell?
No.
Now, we have filed a motion, amended motion for resentencing, and that touches on this point with regards to things that happened to you in your family, in your neighborhood. Looking back, would a juvenile behavior expert have been helpful to your case to explain what happened to you, what happened in your life, what was going on?
Objection, Your Honor, it's asking for an improper opinion.
Right. Next question.
I'm sorry, why is that improper?
Well, one, how is it relevant whether the non-lawyer, so he's not the one assessing ineffective assistance, whether it would have been helpful to the legal presentation of the case, but it also, we're getting into an area, I don't know what a juvenile behavior expert would have said. Maybe that person would have said, this is an incredibly well-adjusted young man given what he went through. So it strikes me as speculative and really a question that you'd very much like to ask Mr. Gishard, but you can't because he's not available, but not a question for the non-lawyer on the defense team.
But you do have Defendant's Exhibit A in evidence, which gives some insight as to his juvenile behavior. And this, so far as the family violence, the child abuse on him by his mom, that is something that could be relevant so far as his intent. It could be relevant so far as asking for lesser offenses.
And you're free to argue that to me, but that doesn't funnel through the defendant, who wouldn't have been arguing anything to anyone at the trial.
And I
So
was-
his opinion about, it might have been helpful legally, I think is not what we need to inject at this time.
I understand, but again, he's the only one here in court today, other than Ms. Wardell, that was there. And like you said, I can't ask Gashard because he's passed away.
But I'm keeping track of the things that you're not able to do because of the passage of time.
I will then move on. Did Gashard ever talk to you about using an expert in the area of firearms and ballistic forensic evidence?
We never had those type of talks.
Did Gashard or Greenberg ever talk to you about the Clayton County case?
No,
Did Gashard ever pursue or talk to you about looking into questions asserted by Officer Bell relating to Officer Poplis' actions and conduct?
honestly, he never said anything about the statement. I had my family got that out of the discovery package from the Fulton County office, and that's how we seen the statement from Officer Bell inside. He never even mentioned a statement from Officer Bell.
So by that, I assume he never talked to you about calling Officer Bell as a witness?
Never.
I sent you defendant's proposed exhibit N with regards to Populous tampering with evidence, failing a polygraph, and the district attorney's office agreed not to prosecute him in return for a suspension. And then his
Objection, Your Honor.
population.
The description of what N is, I think he just needs to ask a question about N as opposed to describing N.
And is in evidence, and's not like B, where
I don't believe it's in evidence, but I'm not 100% sure.
I don't recall.
I can look. From what I can tell, it has not yet been received into evidence.
Okay.
My question, Mr. Singleton, did Greenberg ever talk to you about any of this? Did he investigate or talk to you about this having occurred when he was representing you? Did he talk to you about Officer Populous or anything that was happening in his own professional, personal life?
We never had those type of conversations.
Did Gashard ever talk to you about calling any fact witnesses at the trial?
Fact witnesses, can you explain that?
Like people that were there, either Clayton County, Fulton County, before, during, afterwards? For example, Miss Kathy. Did he talk to you about? I'm sorry.
That would be the only, oh, excuse me. That would have been the only one that I can recall that he asked about was Miss Kathy, but he never called her, like she was never part of it. The lady whose house I went to right after the situation, I know he asked me some questions about her, being that was David's mom, and she was in court every time that, we had a hearing, but he never called her. I don't know if she was on the list. I don't even know if they had a witness list, but she never was called.
And it's my understanding she was with you when you turned yourself in, before, during, and then when that happened?
Up until she took me, we actually drove around. We spotted police. She was the one driving. Followed them to the precinct. She was there, and then after that, it was never seen again, except in courtroom.
And this all was preceded by conversations with Waters, Merez, whether you would go with them or whether you're going to go to Ms. Kathy's house. What can you tell us about that?
No, well, it was a debate between, at that point, when we had that, debate about me going to Miss Kathy or me going with them, I was already, in my panic mode. So, I keep screaming. They trying to get me to get into a car, like trying to flag somebody down so they can drive us to the hospital. But I'm telling them, you got me shot. F y'all. I'm on that type of mode right now. I'm really trying to fight, but I really can't. I'm just, ranting. So I said, I'm finna go back to your mom's house. So they're like, no, don't go to her house, don't go to her house. But I'm not thinking that it's nothing other than me getting shot at that time. So they was like bent on me going with them and not going to her house. And I was like, I got to go to her house. But I didn't think everything else that happened in the situation happened. I only thought that I got shot and, so that's how that happened. And I went straight to her house. And when I went to her house, I lied and told her somebody shot me. And the reason why that was the first thing on my mind is because the day before, her nephew got shot with us. So somebody shot her nephew. And so that's the first thing everybody will believe, oh, they shot you too now. So I told her that. She took me to the Clayton County. I went to the hospital.
Changing the subject for a moment, did Gashard ever talk to you about Detective Martin?
Talk to me.
What happened?
The only time he ever mentioned Detective Martin was, it was one of the times when, it's probably like the second, I don't remember what time, but it was one of the times when Detective Martin was coming to get us out of the juvenile facility. And my lawyer, somebody else, I think it was like somebody else in the facility, Detective Martin and another police officer was in the room. And he was telling me, now listen, you sure you don't know who this person is? We about to take you out again. He just really pressing that issue. But other than that, he never mentioned Detective Martin except for when he, told me he was about to take me to travel around looking for the shooter, my co-defendants.
Now, Detective Martin took a statement from you on July 3, 2000, around 2:21 a.m. Is that correct?
It was late. It was early, late at night. I don't remember the time, but it was real late at night.
Okay. Back then, before or during the Fulton County trial, did you know what a Jackson dental hearing was?
No.
Did Gashard ever talk to you about filing or pursuing a Jackson dental hearing?
Again, like we never had what I'm about to do conversations. We never had legal talks. Like that was never part of our, anytime we sat down, that was never part of our conversation.
Do you ever remember testifying in Fulton County before the trial at a motion to suppress or any motion?
No, I would recall that honestly, but only thing I remember about those hearings was that they never wanted to show my face because I was a juvenile, so they was big on that. But as far as me getting on the stand, I never remember getting on the stand prior to that one time when I went to trial.
Did Greenberg ever talk to you about this?
No, we most definitely never talked about that.
Did Gashard ever talk to you or pursue filing something more than just a generic motion? Case-specific motions? Did he ever talk to you about filing or
He's asking
pursuing?
about whether the attorney filed something, but that would be reflected in the record.
No, I'm asking whether you ever talked to him about pursuing or filing one.
I heard him say, did he talk about filing them?
I misunderstood then.
The docket does, in its own ancient way, speak for itself.
So yes, I mean, the record does reflect Gashard only filed a generic form motion and a bond motion. So my question is, did Gashard ever talk to him about pursuing those motions or filing any more specific possible motions?
Again, me personally, no. The only thing that I ever heard as far as filing was, the conversation between him and the judge, and that was like the only thing that I can remember him saying, he's gonna file something, and that was about the appeal, and that was when she said, you know, she asked him, aren't you going to do this? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it, blah, blah, blah. And she said, no, we're going to do it now. But outside of talking about filing or especially speaking to me about it, I never heard it.
Did Gishard ever talk to you about the state's filing of an intent to present evidence of similar transaction in a motion in limine? Did they ever talk to you about those pleadings filed by the state?
I don't recall that phrase at all. So I would say no.
So by that, I assume you don't even know what happened to those pleadings? Whether they ever went to court, decided anything?
I don't even know what that means, honestly.
Okay.
Or if I was in a hearing about that, I don't know.
Did Greenberg ever talk to you about any of this?
Most definitely not. Never.
Did Gishard ever talk to you about the Department of Justice juvenile assessment?
No.
Did you ever see that assessment?
No.
Your Honor, for clarifications, what assessment is he referring to?
I'm not sure.
It's a Department of Justice juvenile assessment, which thanks to the court's suggestion about me going in and looking at the court file, I found that there was one, but whatever happened to it, we don't know.
As in like DOJ, someone from the federal government did an assessment of Mr. Singleton
A juvenile behavior type of assessment.
by the Department of Justice.
That's what I have here. I can look at.
Okay. I'm not doubting, I just didn't know the feds would be involved with something like that. It seems like it would be a youth thing, like juvenile justice. So maybe there's a double J. There's DOJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice.
That's possible. They wrote it down when it.
Put together the question.
Okay. I still don't know what one of those is, but DOJJ makes much more sense that, or DJJ, I think they just call it that.
Did Gishard ever investigate, pursue, or talk to you about a motion to contest jurisdiction, competency, or transfer the case for sentencing back to the juvenile court?
Objection, compound question.
Well, I'll simplify it. Did he ever talk to you about any one of those things?
No. Juvenile court. I don't know if this would qualify as it, you know, but just him speaking to me about, you know, because of my age, I can I can get transferred if I plea out, or if I tell who did it, I can do my time in the juvenile section when I'm 21. You know, that was the conversation that he had with me before, but I would have to tell on, you know, this was before my co-defendant got found. That was the only conversation. So I don't know if that qualifies for the question.
Who did you have that conversation with?
Gishard.
Otherwise, did Gishard ever talk to you about a possible plea agreement?
That was the only thing that he was telling me. That if I was to, you know, tell them where my two co-defendants was, that I could be looking at getting out when I'm 21 instead of dying in prison or doing life in prison. And that was the only thing that they would negotiate, but I would have to tell. Other than that, there would be no negotiation.
Did that go anywhere?
Of course not. 25 years later, no, sir.
Well, did it go nowhere because you said, I'm not going to identify the co-defendants, or did you say, yeah, let's do it, and Mr. Gishard said, okay, I'll get back to you?
No, actually, I was still telling them, you know, going out on these, you know, fake hunts, and all that time it was still in the air, but it most definitely didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere because I didn't comply.
Okay.
Looking back as a juvenile, did you understand your possible culpability as a co-conspirator or party to a crime?
Not at all. That's foreign, very foreign.
Did Gishard ever talk to you about this?
Not at all.
Did Greenberg ever talk to you about this?
Never. Now Greenberg, excuse me. And I'm trying I'm trying to see if the answers from if my answers, qualify to meet your question. But Greenberg would explain, it was one situation, the first time that I ever spoke to Greenberg, and I only talked to him 3 times. But the first time I spoke to him, I was just telling him all the different things that I felt was wrong. I felt that happened. And he was telling me how under Georgia law, party to a crime is this. So that's about the closest I can say to answering that question. Did he ever have a conversation with me about party to a crime? Was during that segment, and explaining that in Georgia, party to a crime is, that's fair. But other than that, no, sir.
The amended motion for new trial sets forth a number of times where Gishard did not object. Did he ever talk to you, explain why he didn't object?
His response to me, especially after we had the little confrontation, was, I got it. He just would, and I say something and I say this, like anytime I would hear something in the trial or see something, like several situations that I would see something, and he would say something, my co-defendant, or the DA would say something that I know was false. I would tell him and he would always say, I got it. And that was as far as it went. We never had an explanation or a reason why. He just said he got it.
Remind me, Mr. Singleton, what the confrontation was about?
The confrontation was when he found out that I was lying and I didn't want to tell who my co-defendant was, he was outraged. He was all the way gone. And
okay. I remember you now talking about that. Was that before trial or in the middle of trial?
That was before trial.
Okay. So going into trial, you had already had this confrontation.
This was not even close to trial. This was when they got caught. And I don't know what day they got caught, but I remember waking up in the morning, seeing them on the news. And then when I went to the next hearing, we was all at a table together, or we all was sitting together now. And at first it was just, me going through the motion by myself, but then I was all at the table. And that's when we, in the conference room, but that's when it was the first of just, I got it, don't worry about it. Never said anything more to me about it.
And then when he got mad at you, if I remember correctly from the last hearing, that was really the end of his representation of you?
Objection,
Yeah,
Your
that was
Honor,
the
that's an
end.
opinion.
You need to ask that in a different way. I mean, physically, Mr. Gishard was there in court and he asked questions. So it's not that he ceased to be his lawyer.
And I can respond to this?
Well, I'm going to ask you to ask a different question.
Okay.
Did Gishard threaten you?
Most definitely did. And the only reason why, and my lawyer can attest to this, the only reason why the man was dead, and it's like, he's dead, so I'm saying all this bad stuff about him, and it makes it, to me, that's just how I feel different about it. But what he said is what he said. And at that point, he told me that you don't have to worry about them killing you. Those are the exact words. I'm gonna do it myself, in a tough father love type of vibe. But I wasn't feeling that type of vibe. That really rubbed me the wrong way, and it rubbed him, because at that point when he said that, I snatched away from him. But at that point, it was no more, it was no more vibe between me and him at all, period. No conversation, no coming to the jail, no nothing. Conference room, hearing, and that was it. And he said, and that's his exact words, but for the strength of him being dead already, like I told my lawyer months ago, I never want to bring that type of element, because I don't want to focus on that as being the reason why I feel like I should be out. So but it's the truth. That's what happened, and that's what it is.
Did Gishard ever talk to you about jury instructions, requesting possible lesser offenses, requesting a perjury, immunity, or leniency granted to a witness? Did he ever talk to you about those possible instructions?
Jury instruction. I remember him. I think he was talking to either Susan or it was another person that used to be at the table as well, and going over the instructions. But it was nothing towards me, honestly. I don't remember nothing about that, and I can't even say I don't remember. I never had a conversation. I'm gonna say that we never had a conversation, but I have overheard during the time about jury instructions.
At the trial, Judge Downs instructed the jury on abandonment. Did Gashard ever talk to you about abandonment?
So that would be a jury charge, and he said he didn't talk to me about jury charges at all.
Okay.
So anything that was a jury charge, according to Mr. Singleton, he might have heard about it, but that was only incidental to a conversation Gashard was having with someone else.
Okay. Did Gashard ever explain to you why he didn't elicit information, cross-examination from Waters, or why he didn't argue abandonment in his closing argument?
Honestly, because this is just my how I computed what he was doing was he never had that. I never had that talk, but it went against his theory or his defense, and that
Objection, Your Honor,
was
it's now argument. He's not saying whether he had this conversation. He's arguing the effect of the conversation, of the instruction.
The effect of the abandonment instruction.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need you, Mr. Singleton, to assess why Mr. Gashard did X or Y. Let's have Mr. Hort ask a different question.
Did Gashard ever explain or tell you why he didn't pursue through evidence at trial or argue in closing the voluntariness of your statement?
no, he never did.
Did Greenberg ever talk to you about any of this?
No, sir.
Let's talk about Greenberg. What can you tell us about your contact with him, your efforts to have contact with him? Tell us about your representation by Mr. Greenberg.
Brief. The only time like I said, I spoke to him 3 times. 2 of those times was after grievances. The one was at the beginning, and 2 was after grievances. And and one time when I was in my Clayton County, going back and forth for a Clayton County case, he had a case there at that time, and seeing that I was there, and he spoke to me when I was there at the Clayton County Jail. But this was nothing scheduled or put together, just, oh, I see you here. So it was just brief and short, you know what I mean? And half, 50% of that was after I filed a grievance on him. It was the only time I spoke to him.
Did the grievance go anywhere?
No, they didn't.
And why not?
Objection, Your Honor. Why a grievance didn't go anywhere?
Right. We're talking about a bar grievance?
Yes.
Okay, that's not the right witness to answer that question. He either knows from hearsay, someone told him, or he's going to have to be speculating because he's not the one who would process the bar grievance.
Or Greenberg talked him out of it.
Well, why don't you ask that? Did Greenberg ever talk to you about it? It's okay, you can do that.
Did Greenberg talk you out of the grievance?
Both of them.
Tell us about it.
When you say both of them, meaning you filed 2 grievances against Greenberg, or Greenberg and another person talked to you about it?
No, these are 2 separate occasions that I was trying to get a new counsel, trying to get somebody else over my case, and complaining to the bar, complaining to the court about me needing a new lawyer.
And this is not Gashard, it's Greenberg you're complaining about.
Yeah, this is Greenberg now.
Okay,
And,
and so you had 2 grievances, and then Mr. Greenberg talked to you about the grievances and encouraged you to withdraw them or dismiss them.
Right. The first time was, I think I did it wrong. I wrote a letter to the court, and I was trying to get a new lawyer. The second time, after my, chain gang lawyers, they told me how to file a bar grievance, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when he had called me to the counsel. Well, the counselors called me to their office, and he was on the phone. So they gave me the phone, and I spoke to him for like 30 minutes about, this is where he, it's more than one way to skin a cat. Don't have to go to court to do this and all this old stuff. He was talking like he had a plan in motion, but 10 years after that, I still heard nothing from him.
Do you remember when Greenberg stopped even having contact with you?
And I think I was in, I'm trying to, if I can remember the prison, I can remember the year. It's 2005 now. I would say about 12 years ago. 10 to 12 years ago.
Let's talk about Clayton County. What can you tell us about the gun Waters used to kill Sergeant Grigley? How and why did this gun come into your possession initially?
Okay. Am I explaining the situation entirety, or am I just certain things I can say and can't say? And we'll just see how it goes. But I got the gun through, it was me and like 5 more of my people who were sitting in the breezeway. And at this time I'm in Georgia, of course. We're sitting in the breezeway, we talking. This is where me, Mingo, Josh, me, Mingo, and a group of other guys. And it was a guy who pulled up with his lights blaring down the breezeway. So with the lights on bright, you know, we yelling, telling him, turn the lights down. Eventually he turned them down. And when he got out of the car, you know, he just was looking and acting weird. You know what I mean? And in my mind and in all our mind, you know, my guy just got shot yesterday. A lot of, you know, we beefing with local guys, and just the imagination of children. That's what I'm going to take this to. It just went on a spiral of what this could be, or what he could be, or what he could be doing, or all this type of stuff. And mind you, we've never seen this guy a day in our life. So I popped up, and I had a pellet gun with no air cartridge at the bottom. It looked real, of course, but you can see at the bottom there's a big hole in it, so you know it's not a real gun. But either way it go, I popped up, everybody's behind me, and I asked them, who the fuck was he? Excuse my language. I asked him who he was, like, you know, like trying to check him, see who you is. And putting on for the guys, maybe you could say that, but he went into full panic mode. And from that point, there was not another word that was said to him. He took off. Hold on, you don't gotta, hey, and he just went talking, trying to talk me down, and then he tried to hit me with the book bag. He tried to knock the gun out my hand with the book bag. That didn't work. When that didn't work, he said, now listen, I'm about to pull my wallet out of my pocket. I'm gonna do it real slow. I want to show you something. When he pulled his wallet out the pocket, he opened it up and he said, now you know you're robbing a police officer. Everybody took off. That was how I got the gun. When he tried to hit me with the gun, he missed. He let the bag go. The bag fell by my leg. I grabbed it by the string. So now I got the string on it, but I'm still nervous. Like, this dude is wigging out. And I'm just kind of, you know, standing in front of him with the gun, with the pellet gun, but still, it's a gun. And when he pulled out that badge and said he was a police officer, we took off, period, and just ran. But it was no conversation outside of that first question, and he just took off. We ran, we fell down the steps, we ran into the woods. When we felt like we got far away, we just was like tripping at just what happened. And then we opened up the bag, we seen all this, man, just all type of stuff inside the bag, and we were like, whoa. And that's how I got the bag. That's how I got the gun.
Oh, when you said you fell or stumbled running off, were your friends laughing at you?
Yeah, everybody was laughing because we all was falling down the steps, like trying to get away that fast. It was like, when he did that, it was no more, we didn't say nothing. It was just, poof, and everybody was just falling down the steps, laughing like, you know, children, but bad children, I guess.
Before you opened up the book bag, did you have any idea there was a gun in it?
No, not at all. You know, that's the last thing. First, that was the last thing on our mind, that this was a police officer and he was giving us a book bag with a gun in it. That didn't even cross our mind. We didn't ask this man for no money. We didn't ask him for nothing, honestly. I don't know what he was doing. That's how I know it's more to this, but I don't know what he was doing, but he just got on some panic stuff. He got nervous and he took it to that point. You know what I mean? And I understand why he was nervous, of course. But no, had no clue what was in the bag at all.
Why did you keep the gun?
We ran with the bag, and it was just I think reflex, but it's an idiotic move, of course. But after he tried to hit me with the bag, and when the bag fell, I'm kind of grabbing for it, like by my foot now, and I'm still looking at him like, what the hell? And we just ran. Everybody just ran with it. It was no intent. It was no like mind to say, okay, I'm going to take his bag. We're going to run off. That never happened. It just exactly how this happened. It happened fast. And when we ended up with it, we realized what we had. And it was just like another wow.
Were you wearing a mask or anything like that?
No, we didn't have no masks. We was in apartments. That was cap. We was in apartments in the breezeway, like just sitting down. The only thing that they say at that time in 2000, for one, nobody carried book bags with valuable things in it. So that's to say we went for a book bag was just, there was phones, there wasn't tablets, there wasn't iPhones or laptops. Nothing was in a book bag worth value in 2000 but clothes and books. So for one, nobody aimed at his book bag. We had we was on a hot boy type of vibe. And if you born in that era, hot boys, they kept the do-rag on their wrist and they kept the do-rag around their neck and the Tupac type of vibe, but it was never a full mask we had. It was nothing like that. That was just cap. I mean, that was just fake,
How, when, and why did Waters end up with a gun?
Waters ended up with the gun first. Early that day when I came to Waters' house, I got into it with a dude named Dinky. And at that point, Dinky was asking me, I showed Dinky the gun. I really tried to sell it to Dinky. Dinky was trying to talk me out of it. And I was giving him a stiff no. So when I was telling him these stiff no's, he got kind of aggressive, said he'll beat my ass without the gun. That didn't work. Me and him got the fight, and I gave Mike the gun first. That's when Mike first got the gun. After the fight, he actually broke the gun up he actually broke the fight up with the gun. After he got the gun back to me, he was telling me how he liked it in it, et cetera, et cetera. So he was trying to leverage me off of $400 that I owe him before I left Georgia. And I did owe him the money. So he was like, hey, just let me hold this and blah, blah, blah. And that's how he talked me out of the gun initially. From that point on, and I want to get my times right, but from that point on, Mike really had the gun because there was one incident where we was all in the room listening to 666 Mafia. And this was after we said we're going to Bacardi House. This was after we spoke to Tisha. And he was saying how if he try him, he'll do this, he'll do that. And in the process of him saying that, I was like, hey man, come on with that gun. That's how I know I didn't have the gun when we was walking. They said I gave it to him. I know that's a cap. Because in the room, I told him to give me the gun, and he was like, nah, I'm just playing, after he was talking reckless about what he'll do if Bacardi try him. So he had the gun the whole time in the house. That evening, he had the gun for the entire time. Before we left the house, before Dave came to the house, the man had that gun on him. I gave him the gun, of course, because I wanted to get off that $400 debt.
So when you guys went out, Waters testified at the trial that you all had guns. Was that true?
I don't recall that, but that's impossible.
I mean,
That's impossible.
Did you have a gun? Did Merez have a gun?
Oh, we didn't have no gun. Me, David, Mike had masks all over. Mike had all the masks because that's just the type of time. At that type of time was the Scream, Michael Myers era, 2000 H2O. And you could be riding in a car, people got Scream masks on, people got, just like today, you can ride right now and see people with shiesty masks on. That's just what the young people was doing. However, me and David never had a mask. We had a yellow Wolverine, bright yellow jersey. We had a bandana on our wrists, of course, on our neck, of course, but not a mask.
What about what Waters, I'm sorry.
I said, or a gun.
What about what Waters was saying that you guys did some type of lay down? What can you tell us about that?
The lay down situation came after I was shot, and they was trying to get his car to stop so that they could have this car or have this person drive me to the hospital. I don't know about anything when they're saying prior to that, but after I got shot, we was on Schofield Road. That's when they had, that's when David and Mike, and I'm there, but I'm the shot one. So trying to act as if, stop a car, slow a car down so they can take us to the hospital. So he's laid in the road and them folks just drove around his ass.
So no lay down before the Bacardi.
No.
At trial, the state presented evidence that the gun was a Glock 40 caliber firearm, which was stamped Fulton County Sheriff's Department on the side. And I'm making reference to volume 3, page 736. And I will provide a copy to Mr. Armstrong. Did Gashard ever talk to you about why he never did anything to challenge this evidence that you stole a Fulton County Sheriff's Department gun?
He never told me why.
Did you ever talk about getting testimony from other witnesses to show how you got the gun? I'm sorry?
No, sir. I apologize. No, sir.
Did Greenberg ever ask or talk to you about any of this?
At the Clayton County, when he came to see me at the Clayton County, he asked me asked me about how the case was going. I kind of explained the situation to him then, but outside of that, me seeing him in Clayton County that time, we never had a conversation about it.
Gashard testified that 2 months before all of this happened, you and him came up with a plan to rob Bacardi, that you brought it up. And I'm reference volume 3, page 633, 634.
Who testified to that?
You said Richard.
Waters?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What can you tell us about that? Was it this plan 2 months before all of this happened? You guys came up with this plan?
It was never, first, is he speaking about the plan to rob a man for the car? Or are you speaking about the plan to go to Bacardi's?
Were you even in Georgia during this time frame?
2 months ago, at that time, I left Georgia. Prior, I was only here 7 days when all this happened in 1 week. David got shot, I got shot. This situation with the officer, all this happened in a time span of 7 days. I just came back to Georgia. There was never a plan for us to rob no Bacardi. One, he didn't like Bacardi because Bacardi shot at him, embarrassed him. There was never a plan to rob Bacardi.
Where were you before you said before you were in Georgia, where were you?
I was in Memphis first with my grandmother, and then I was in Indiana with my grandmother and my dad. Well, not really my dad. He was my dad, but I was up there to meet him, but I was with my grandmother.
Okay.
When this happened with the sergeant, Ms. Blaylock, were you wearing a mask or anything covering your mouth, nose?
No, nothing. No gloves, no mask, no gun.
When the state introduced demonstrative evidence to kind of try to show you were all wearing masks, did you talk to Gashard about that?
That was the only time when Gashard actually, I felt like he said something that was winning. Like he actually did something that was, according to me, nudging him. The DA held 3 masks up in the air, or 3, I don't know what she was, do-rags, mask, or something. But she held them up in the air and said, these are the masks from the defendants. there was never a mask. That's how I know that was all cap. There was never a mask. Me and David never had a mask. They say if Mike had a Michael Myers mask, I know he did have a mask, but I can't say what he wore that night. I would thought he had the strap-on mask. Honestly, I don't remember him having a full Michael Myers mask on, honestly, but you know, I can't really argue that because a lot of times passed by, but she held up 3 masks that I know they just bought out the store because 3 people was not in masks. So when she said that, I kind of got real excited, like, hey, that's fake because nobody had a mask. And he made, you know, he did his thing. He spoke well, I guess, but that still was of no relevance because I was still found guilty. But yeah, that was the only time.
You mentioned something about, did you ever talk to Gashard about getting fingerprints from the vehicle? Why would that be?
I asked him to get fingerprints because they you know, and it's not Gashard. It was DiPietro, and I don't know his first name, but he was somebody that used to help.
Want fingerprints?
I wanted the fingerprints because if he said I had gloves on, why would there be fingerprints all over the car if I had gloves on? If I brought gloves, mask, and guns, why are there fingerprints? Like, why is my fingerprints everywhere?
You testified.
My bad, I'm sorry.
You testified at the trial what happened when you got into the car. Is there anything there that you want to change or modify or amplify?
Honestly, everything that I said in my first statement was geared around not my co-defendants not being incarcerated. So yes, I lied. When I first turned myself in, I most definitely did. I admitted to that. And it was solely for the purpose of, I didn't want to see my co-defendants doing a lot of time. So I lied. The only difference is I never got a chance to make a second and third statement like everybody else did in my case. But, you know.
What about your testimony at the trial? Anything you wanted to change or modify or talk about?
Only that it was never, I would say, 2 things that, and it was when my lawyer tried to make it seem like Mike forcefully made me do this by pointing a gun in my direction, by, you know, he wanted me to say that he pointed the gun at me and told me to come over. That was cap. But that's what my lawyer wanted me to say, because he said that's the only chance that you will have at winning. And outside of that, it's a, you know, I never really said my side of the story outside of, you know, what I was told to say during my trial.
At trial, you said that afterwards, Waters came up the street from behind you and joined up with you. At first you ran, and then Waters ran behind you and caught up with you. I'm referencing volume 3, 826 and 847. And copies of that transcript for Mr. Armstrong. Did Gashard ever explain to you why he told the jury you came back to the scene after moving away?
Could you repeat that question for me one time?
Okay, you testified that Waters came up the street from behind you and joined up with you. You ran and Waters ran and caught up with you.
Okay.
Gashard told the jury that you went back to the scene after moving away.
Okay, so what he might, and this is.
I don't want you to speculate what he was doing. If the question is, why did Gashard say something? Unless you told him to say it, the answer is, I don't know why. And we need to go on to a different question.
The question is, did he ever explain to you why he said that contrary to what you said?
No, I don't know why he said that then.
At sentencing, Gashard told the judge he would be looking into it, keeping you in a juvenile facility until you turn 21. To your knowledge, did Gashard ever pursue this?
No, I don't.
How old were you after the guilty verdict?
17.
Did you know about the state filing a motion for appointment of counsel and for a status conference in August of 2005?
No, sir. I just found it out last year.
Did Greenberg ever tell you why he wasn't going to file ineffective assistance of counsel against Gashard?
Yeah.
What did
Yes. He said that he was a colleague and they worked in the same office. You know, he was part of his firm, and that was out of the question. There would be no ineffective assistance of counsel.
I believe that's it, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Armstrong, do you have questions for Mr. Singleton?
I do. May I remain seated here so I can see the screen?
You bet. Let me, get you on the screen for our court reporter as well. There you go.
And just to let you know that there's a pop-up part of the screen that says location has been turned off, if you have any control over that. It's not covering Mr. Singleton's face, so it's
Okay,
not.
good. Is it on all the screens?
It's, I guess, just mine.
Okay.
Always the location.
Because you were late.
Absolutely.
Good thing you had a green suit in your office.
Well, I was wearing it for motion this morning.
Oh, all right. The one that you got on your schedule?
The one I got correctly on my schedule.
All right, Mr. Singleton, you are now going to be asked questions by Mr. Armstrong.
Mr. Singleton,
All
good
right.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You testified twice during your direct examination about Kathy's nephew getting shot. What is Kathy's nephew's name?
Arlo or Justin, one of the two.
Arlo or Justin?
Mhm.
And what is Arlo or Justin's last name?
I don't remember, but all of my cousins.
But it was Kathy's nephew.
Yeah.
So the first time you mentioned this, I believe your exact quote was that Kathy's nephew got shot with us. What did you mean by that?
Meaning while we was together, and that's it. While we was together, he got shot in the leg.
So Kathy's nephew was shot with you a day before the Officer Grigley shooting.
I think it was maybe 2 days.
Can you tell us the circumstances in which Arlo got shot?
And I would object on relevancy grounds.
We were pretty flexible with you. I'm going to be flexible for now with Mr. Armstrong.
Who shot Arlo?
I would say a rivalry situation, like with some local guys that we got into in the neighborhood.
Was this the shooting you were talking about, Mr. Singleton, when you said, hey, we were all a little on edge when this guy pulls up and the bright lights are shining on you guys in the breezeway? That's what's top of mind for you, is like, hey, just yesterday or the day before, Arlo got shot. So I don't know what's going on with this guy shining the lights at us.
Yeah, that was a series of things like that happened.
Well, were there other shootings right then? Because you referred to a shooting. You said, hey, someone had just been shot. And it was the Arlo getting shot that you were referring to?
And this is the thing. There's three cousins. They was called the Hit Squad. Arlo, Justin, David. They stay in one part of College Park. We stayed in the other. Me, Mingo, and another group of guys we had our own Summerbrook thing. But we used to all come together and, link up when we fought against different guys at skating rings and different places. And it started getting a little more escalated, So people getting jumped on, people getting shot.
Okay, but the hitmen would be allies of yours. They're not enemies of yours. Is that right?
No, allies. Yes, sir.
Allies. And one of the hitmen got shot. And that's the shooting you were referring to when you said, look, when this guy pulls up with his car and the lights are on and we're wondering what's going on. So I pull out my pellet gun. It is in that environment of Arlo having been shot, or was there a different shooting that day that you were talking about?
No, that was the one.
Okay, thank you.
And that happened 2 or 3 days prior to that, not that same day.
Understood.
Okay. So you testified on direct about that circumstance and how you got the gun from Officer Poplis. I just want to confirm, you pointed a real-looking gun at Officer Poplis.
I did.
And he understood you to be robbing him because he actually said, you're robbing me.
That's what he said, but I never asked him for anything. So I couldn't say that I think that was just a tactic he used for me to say, hey, now listen, you're robbing the police. And we ran. So
I'm just asking fact questions, not contextual questions. So you testified that he used his book bag to try and knock the gun out of your hand. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, sir.
And the gun fell to the ground?
Not the gun. No, sir. The book bag.
Sorry, the book bag, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Because you were still holding on to your pellet gun at that point in time.
Right.
And you were still pointing it at Officer Poplis.
At that time.
Okay. And you indicated that Officer Poplis seemed very panicked by this circumstance.
Immediately.
Okay. And it's your testimony that you picked the book bag up and ran.
I never really let it go. It's like the reflex of him trying to hit me with the gun caused me to reach for the bag as well. And when the bag fell, because it was dumb heavy, like when he tried to hit me with the bag, I'm bracing. I have the gun out. I can't shoot him. It's nothing in the gun. So I had my hand up, like I grabbed the bag some type of way. And when it fell, I'm holding on to the string of the bag, like the end of the book bag, the part where you pull the lasso over your back. I'm holding on to the end of that while it's on the floor. But now I'm looking at him like thinking he's going to do something else. And I have no more cards to play. So
let me ask you this, because I'm a little confused. Did it fall to the ground, or did you literally grab it while he was still holding on to it?
I can't say if he was still holding to it or if he threw it to me or not, but I know when he hit that gun, I reached out like trying to block as well, and I grabbed the string of the book bag as it hit my leg. So at the
Okay.
end of the day, looking down, I got my hand on the bottom part of the book bag as it's up against my leg.
Okay. Later on that day, you saw your friend Ybarra, correct?
No,
If you admitted at trial that you showed the gun to Ybarra, would that be correct or incorrect?
that would be incorrect. Ybarra was with me during the incident. The only reason why we said that that little situation was to take him out of the entire play. Ybarra was with me that night. He was one of the guys that was with me that night. Rest in peace.
So your testimony is that you did not show the gun to Ybarra?
No, Ybarra already seen the gun, wanted the gun initially, so it was no, I brought it to his house. When I went to his house before me going back to Mike's house, Ybarra was sleeping. I seen his baby mama and his newborn child. Ybarra was not even woke when I went to his house the last time.
Mingo is Ybarra, correct?
Yes, sir. Casimir Ybarra.
I'm referring to page 798 of the transcript. If your attorney asked you the following question, during the course of your time at Mingo's, did you show him anything? And you said yes. No, I do not. I just have the transcript.
Do you have this site?
It's 798, like I said.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
You have a copy of the transcript?
I do not. But if you would like to look at it. And then if your attorney said, what did you show him? And you responded, a gun. You're telling us that your testimony from trial was incorrect.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you lied at trial.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's right there. Oh, you can't take it because I need it for cross. I'm saying you can look at, I really am saying.
Wait a second, and you can get that across.
That's really going to be not going to work for the whole day.
Make copies.
Well, he didn't though, so we're going to press on. Just give it a quick glance.
It's the first 4 questions and answers.
Okay, then I would object, Your Honor, because the transcript actually says during the course of your time at Mingo's, did you show him anything? And that's what he's already said, I believe.
I read that
He was
exactly.
with him in Clayton County and then later at Mingo's house.
Right, and what I've heard your client say is, I made that stuff up to get Mingo out of the picture. Mingo was actually there when I got the gun. We ran, fell down the stairs, opened the bag up. Holy moly, there's a sheriff's gun in here. So Mingo knew because he was effectively part of the armed robbery of Poplis. But to get Mingo out of that situation, your client concocted the story of, oh, I did show him the gun when I was over at his place. And right now, Mr. Singleton is explaining that's not really how it played out, and here's why. And when I went by Mingo's, he was fast asleep, he had a newborn, and he was out. So I don't think I'm missing anything. I also don't think that's particularly profound. Mr. Singleton has made plain all along he was serious about protecting the identity of his colleagues. He wouldn't reveal who was involved in the shooting, and here he wasn't revealing that Mingo had anything to do with acquiring the gun from Poplis.
Mr. Singleton, I'm staying with Officer Poplis questions. When you spoke to detectives on the police and you made that written statement that was read at your trial, you told them that CJ told you he got the gun during the robbery of a security guard, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You did say that. That's
You got to say yes or no.
Oh, I apologize. From what I recall, CJ and Rod, yeah.
Okay. And you also spoke to an Amisha Witt, Ameisha Witt, W-I-T-T. Correct?
David, did I speak to her?
You know who Amisha Witt is, correct?
David's girlfriend, yes.
Okay. And you told Miss Witt that you robbed a cop in Windjammer, correct?
No.
Okay. Windjammer was the apartment complex in Clayton County, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You reviewed you testified about wanting David Merez to be able to testify at your trial, correct?
Correct.
You've reviewed his statement to the police since the crimes, correct?
Did I?
Have you ever seen his statement to the police?
I've seen the entire discovery package.
And so you know that he told the police that you got it from a police officer who threw his book bag at you while you were robbing him at Windjammer Apartments.
I do recall that.
Okay. Again, you told officers that CJ showed it to you, correct? Your statement originally to the police was that CJ showed it to you.
Uh,
I mean, that's in the record.
yeah,
That's
you're
what
right.
he told the
If
police.
that's what's in the
These are other
record,
people's
but
statements that I'm trying to get him to.
Oh, I'm not saying you
It's-
can't ask it. I just, if he's not remembering it, I understand what his statement to police was. CJ showed it to me, but Merez basically described exactly what we heard today from Mr. Singleton.
Yes.
Merez was also in my Clayton County case, and I reviewed that testimony where he said, I told Misha that was our idea. Bam only told me that a dude threw him a book bag and he ran off. That's his exact words. If
Are you Bam?
I'm Bam, yes sir.
Okay.
CJ was Mingo's rival at that time. When we came up with the CJ and Rod, it was after that phone call. Mingo was there with me the entire time when Justin and Arlo pulled up with Kathy to turn me in. Mingo was there with me the entire time.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about the crimes on the night in question.
All right.
Prior to y'all leaving, Waters had already told you about his intention to rob Bacardi, correct?
Now, I can't say it was his intent, but I can't say that.
I'm asking you, did he tell you he wanted to rob Bacardi?
He didn't say he wanted to rob him. He said, if like I ain't going out bad type of conversation, not more so of, hey, when we get there, I'm going to rob him. That's not what he said. He was saying that if Bacardi did this or if Bacardi did that, then he would just, shoot him or whatever, just all type of ranting that he was doing. But he never just directly said, all right, when we get there, we're gonna rob him. That was never a statement. That was never a conversation.
If you were asked at trial, what did Mike want to do at Bacardi's, and the transcript indicates you responded, wanted to rob him and his friends, are you telling us that testimony is false?
No, that testimony is true. But if from a general standpoint, yes. But if we ask detail as far as what do you mean? What did he say? That's what he said more so than anything. And it wasn't about him going to rob the man. He was saying that if Bacardi did this, because he just shot at him, I'm asking for dope. And this is the context that's when we be in general, we kind of miss this. If I want to get some drugs because Bacardi likes me, he don't like Mike. He just shot at Mike.
I'm asking you about questions about what Mike Waters told you before you left for Bacardi's.
And I'm giving the detail behind. He was just ranting about what he would do to him.
Okay. If you testified at trial that he didn't say it in that words, he said, I said, you ready to go over there and chill, whatnot? And he was like, F that. I'm fixing to go in there and bust them, taking their watches and taking their money. If that's your testimony at 802 and 803, is that true or correct or false?
If that's what I said exactly, then yes, under that context.
Yes, it's true.
No, yes, as far as the ranting that he was doing,
Yeah.
was in a line of that. And what I spoke on was when we was listening to the 666 songs and I told him to come on, give me the gun. That was the things that he was saying, what made me say, hey, come on with the gun. He refused. He said he was just playing and that was cool. So if you ask me what he wanted to do, then that would have been what I said based off of everything that he was saying.
So you admit that he was saying that he intended to rob Bacardi?
I can't say intended, sir. I can't say that because I can say that was part of his rant if Bacardi did this or if Bacardi did that.
So if this is the entire paragraph of a response that you gave on 803, that you said, like he say he wasn't coming in there to be conversational, he was coming in there to shoot, then talk later. You know what I mean? Like rob them without being friendly. You're telling me that wasn't a direct statement?
Stop. There's an objection.
He's already answered that, said this was the ranting that he was doing.
Granted.
Okay, I'm going to allow him to ask this last question and then we will move on from this topic. What was your question about that paragraph?
My question was, if you said that he said these things directly, no ifs, no possibilities, but he said this directly, would you have a reason to disagree with your trial testimony?
Your Honor, the testimony speaks for itself.
Your Honor, I think he's changing his testimony.
That's what we're exploring. You can answer the question.
Okay, if I was to say, did he intend to rob, I would say no. Did he say stuff about robbing and shooting and all type of violent stuff? The list goes on as far as his rants. I can say yes to that. At that time, under that type of questioning, I don't, I really can't. I can't say that he say, oh, we intended to rob him, because that would be a lie.
Okay.
I didn't have no intent to rob him.
So once y'all saw Sergeant Grigley and Miss Blaylock, Mike Waters asked you if you wanted to go rob that car, correct?
Something like that.
Okay. And you said either you got it or you got it, hot boy.
Yes.
Okay. You admit that you knew that Waters was robbing them.
I admit that, of course, I seen him making his way towards that. But me saying you got it is not an invitation to go rob. If black slang, when somebody say, "No, man, you got it," meaning I don't have nothing to do with that. You got it. That's what that means. It's not an invitation or a welcoming to do a crime or to do something. It's actually the opposite. It's saying you got it, meaning, no, I'm straight. I don't want nothing to do with that. That's what that means.
Is there a reason that you keep wanting to go and answer things I didn't ask?
Objection, Your Honor.
All right, but make sure you're answering his questions, okay? Next question.
You agree that you're the second person that Debbie Blaylock described, correct?
If that's what the record says.
She did not describe him.
That she described a second person.
So you may need to provide a little more context to your question, given that the trial was a while ago.
Debbie Blaylock testified that a man in a mask knocked on the windows of the door and began giving them orders, and that a second man, unbidden by the first man, came to the car. You are that second man, correct? You admitted that at trial.
Yeah, I was the only person that came after Mike.
Okay.
Did you use the word unbidden?
Both of them actually testified similarly to that. Uncalled, it's an easier word.
Just curious.
Did I understand your direct testimony correctly that Mike Waters in no way threatened you to participate in this event, correct?
He did not threaten me.
Okay. And you are upset because your attorney tried to get you to say that you were coerced into doing this and were threatened to do it?
Most definitely.
Okay. So you're upset at Gary Gouchard for trying to advance that defense?
I'm not saying that I'm upset with him. I'm just speaking the facts, honestly.
Okay. So you just disagreed with him from doing that?
At this point in my life, of course.
Okay. One question I had is that you testified that after you got in the driver's seat, the door was locked. Who locked the car?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I don't know. I could have been panicking. I don't know, but I know I couldn't get out. Just,
So I'm just going to go briefly over your version of events over the course of time, as you told other people. Okay. You told other people at first that you had been robbed in the woods and that's how you got your gunshot, correct?
Correct.
You told that to Miss Kathy, correct?
If that's what the record says, then...
You told those to the officers that responded to your gunshot?
Yeah, and I don't know if I said it was the woods or across the street, or I don't know, but I know I told them I got shot. Somebody tried to rob me, or some guy shot me. It was something that I told them. I can't recall.
I'm going to just list some people and ask if you said the same thing to them, or at least initially. Also, your stepfather, medical personnel, and Ibarra Mingo. You told all of them you got shot as you were being the victim of a robbery.
Mingo, most definitely not. That's just, Mingo knew exactly what happened.
How did Mingo know exactly what happened?
Mingo was there with me after I got, he got, when I came back from the hospital, I was out and about. He asked me what happened. I told him exactly what happened. But of course, when we went to the, to the police precinct, he didn't volunteer the information on what happened. He just only went on what we were saying. But Mingo knew. My stepdad probably, somebody shot me, and that was it. But
If your
not Mingo.
testimony at trial was that you told Mingo that you were robbed until you got the phone call, would you be contesting that today?
Yeah, I would be. I would.
Okay.
I wouldn't even have to think about that because I know he would. I know he knew what was going on. And it was
So
no
after-
reason to wait for a call.
Wasn't it after you talked to Ibarra that you realized that your story didn't check out, and that's when you came up with CJ and Ron?
Ask that question again, sir.
Isn't it when you were talking to Ibarra that you realized your initial story didn't work out, and that's when you came up with CJ and Ron on the phone with Singleton and Merez? I'm sorry, with Waters and Merez?
No, sir.
Okay.
What wouldn't have worked out with the initial story?
Of it being him being robbed in the woods?
Yeah.
I believe there's multiple people who testified about the medical evidence not making sense from what he'd said. Ibarra also testified. He called him out and said, "This isn't making sense." And then he was on the phone with the other two, as per his own testimony. That's when the CJ and Ron story came up.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I object. I'm not sure if that is all in evidence or if that's Mr. Armstrong's analysis.
He was just answering my question. It's not evidence.
Thank you.
Ibarra's testimony about the story not checking out is volume 2, pages 532 through 533. You decided to take the heat from this crime, correct?
Lack of better words.
That you wanted to take responsibility and that you wanted to make sure that Waters and Merez were not named.
Yeah, I most
Okay.
definitely took that route.
So you turned yourself into the police late one night, correct? And you're shaking your head, is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
And then you gave them the story that you'd planned to tell them, which is the CJ and Ron story, correct?
Correct.
And I believe you testified on direct. The exact phrase was going out on these fake hunts. And what you're referring to is the fake hunts for CJ and Ron.
Correct.
Okay. You also told Miss Kathy and other people about the CJ and Ron story, right?
I don't think we had a chance to tell Kathy and other people because that happened. That story came out in the investigation room, like in the police precinct. It wasn't like we sat around for hours and we deliberated about the story. It didn't happen like that. It was more so when we got to the room, it just, CJ was somebody Mingo was beefing with. The story just came there at that point.
Your Honor, the screen has changed to your face for my.
Oh yeah, you're frozen here. All right, keep going. You may have to go to the podium, but I'm gonna try to add you back.
Mr. Singleton, do you recall, I think that you testified about this on direct, but you recall Ms. Wardell's testimony that Bouchard stopped conducting an independent investigation because he was mad that you lied to him?
Correct.
And it seems from your direct that the lie that you told him was that CJ and Ron were responsible for this, correct?
That CJ and Ron existed and Michael and Dave didn't.
Okay. Now, that initial period of time wasn't that long. It was like, what, a week or 10 days between when you made your statement and when they turned themselves in?
In between 10 days. 7
And
to
so
10 days.
you're telling me that Gary Bouchard, the head of the major crimes for the Conflict Defender's Office, was already participating in your case in an active way during that time?
Yeah, most definitely.
And he was meeting with, I'm sorry, continue your statement.
I said he was, from my knowledge, that's the only lawyer that I had in that case.
And he was actively trying to get you to identify the people who were you referring to as CJ and Ron.
Yes.
Okay. So that's obviously actions that he took very early on in your case.
I didn't say that, like, I don't think he was there, but Frank Martin most definitely was there. He's the one that took me on the, he's the one that drove me around everywhere with the police.
Oh, I'm talking about the fact that he was interacting with you and trying to get you to do something to resolve your case advantageous to you, correct? Gary Gouchard was.
Gary Gouchard, he was my lawyer during that time when the police was taking me around, yes.
Okay. So you were asked at trial about making your statement to the police. Do you remember that?
Pretty sure I don't, but I'm sure if that's what it says in the, in the statements.
Okay. Why didn't you testify? Well, first of all, on direct today, Mr. Hort testified about abuse that you suffered from officers, but I don't quite remember that from last time. What abuse did you suffer from officers?
I did not testify.
I can explain.
Don't say anything right now, Mr. Singleton.
If I said
He
testify,
said I
you
testified. I did not testify.
Okay,
did not mean to say Mr. Hort testified.
okay.
I'm referring to your testimony on direct. Mr. Hort, in asking you a question, had mentioned your previous testimony about abuse, but I do not recall that exact testimony. Can you tell me what abuse you suffered from the police officers on the night of your statement?
Now, the night of my statement, it wouldn't be the night of my statement. It would be during the time that they took me out of the juvenile facility. I think it was this was the last time actually, but again, we riding down Old National, we riding down Gobby Road, and we're looking for somebody with gold hair, et cetera, et cetera. There was so many people. We'll take fake people. I can't say fake people, but we would take people. He would slam them on the car. Is this him? I would say no. And after a while, I knew they was getting irritated. So what happened was they took me behind Kroger off Gobby Road, and I see another police car already there. So when he took me out there, he got out the car. He walked over to the other police officer car. He got in the back seat, opened up my back seat. He put something white over my head and took me out. He kicked me in the back of my legs. I fell to the ground. He acted like he did cock back his gun, and they put it to my head and said, "This is your last chance. You need to tell us something, or we're gonna kill you behind this grocery store," or whatever store they were speaking on. And that was the first time where that's the time when I cried. When I got back to the facility, I told the lawyer, I told the officers, I told everybody. Gary came down and seen me that next day, which was the last time. And I explained what happened. He said he'll take care of it. And that was the last time the police came and got me out of the jail.
Okay, so why didn't you testify about that at trial?
Nobody asked me. This is something I already told Gary that he know directly, because he was the only person that I did go to outside of the police officers that was there. I mean, the COs.
So if you testified at trial about like your statement and how police officers treated you, and someone asked you directly, had they threatened you, and you responded no, would you be able to contest that testimony?
I will most definitely be able to contest it. But again, like if you ask the question about did they threaten me in the room when we was investigating, as far as the cold stares and that part, no, they didn't. Then that happened when they was driving me around looking for the fake CJ and Rod. It didn't happen during investigation time.
So any abuse that you're alleging took place after you gave the police your statement?
After.
Okay. Because that's also consistent with your testimony in Clayton County, correct? Where you were also asked whether you'd been threatened before making that statement. Do you recall that?
Before making the statement?
When you were asked at the Jackson Dino hearing in Clayton County that happened during your trial, if somebody was talking about you and meeting with officers and then asked the following questions, and
This is now Clayton County trial we're talking about?
Correct, but is it again about him testifying that he was not threatened in making this statement in this case?
Okay.
And they didn't force you to go with him, did they? Well, at the point I didn't have a choice. Okay, they didn't put handcuffs on you, did they? No. And they didn't draw their weapons. I apologize, Your Honor. My computer is not doing well right now. Strike that last question, because I'm not going to ask you all of the parts of the question. If somebody asked you at the Jackson Deno in the Clayton County case, but those officers, they never pulled their gun on you and they never hit you and they never handcuffed you, did they? And you responded, nothing physical. Would you contest your own testimony on that point?
Right now, I understand what you're saying, but those questions wasn't in regards to what happened when they was taking me out of the juvenile facility. Those questions was speaking about them obtaining the statement. In the obtaining of the statement inside of the homicide or wherever we was off, I don't remember where we actually did a statement. There was no physical threats. There was no physical nothing. After I was incarcerated in the juvenile facility and I was taken out of the facility multiple times, the last time is when that happened. So, we're kind of mixing situations, but under that pretense, no, I wasn't threatened to make a statement. After, yeah, I most definitely was threatened.
So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about abandonment, because that's been questioned about by Mr. Hort. At any point in time, were you prepared to testify that you actively participated in a hijacking?
No.
Were you ever, at any point in time, going to testify that you actively participated in an armed robbery?
No.
So what is it that you would have abandoned?
Me personally, I should have never got in the car. Once I got in the car, I'm still, I'm panicking for one, but I'm deliberating like, man, should I run by myself and say F Mike? But I didn't. Me being the person that I was, he got into the car and I told him, let's run, F this car, let's go. To me personally, and this was before the gunshots. This was before the man popped up. This was before I even knew the man was, doing what he was doing. All this was going on in my head. It's just that, at that time, I can't really say I just could say it properly or do it properly. I just was kind of panicking everywhere.
Would you have testified that you were committing a crime at some point during that event with Sergeant Grigley and Debbie Blaylock that you could then pull away from?
Getting in the car, yes, sir. Most definitely.
No. What was the crime that you were committing?
Getting into a car that the man just stole. I most definitely can say that. After he hijacked him and whatever he was doing to him, I got into that stolen car.
Okay. You testified last time that you had worked with and attempted to get as new counsel, I believe, an attorney named Elizabeth Villa-Rogan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell me when you tried to get her as your attorney?
I was at Wheeler State Prison, so this had to be in between 2013 and 2015. It was somewhere in between that time, within a 4-year period of me being in Wheeler. I can't know the year specifically, but I know it's in between those times.
Okay. This is just a linguistic question. When you say something along the lines of, that was cap, C-A-P, that was cap, you're saying that something was false, correct?
Facts.
Okay. And by facts, you mean correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You mentioned an incident that didn't come up at your trial about Dinky. Do you know Dinky's full name?
No, I don't know Dinky's full name.
And you testified that Dinky tried to get the gun from you between when you got it from Poplis and when it was used against Sergeant Grigley. Did I understand that correctly?
It was actually the morning of that incident.
And you testified that Mike broke up the fight and got the gun at that point in time.
No, when I gave Mike the gun to fight Dinky, and he was choking me out, that's how Mike broke the fight up with the gun.
And you testified that Mike basically had the gun from that point on the entire evening, I thought. Is that not correct?
What I said was, let me be clear. I know I gave him the gun at that time. I think he gave it back to me. And I know before I left the house that afternoon, Mike still had the gun.
Can I ask why you didn't testify to any of that at trial?
Oh, honestly, because a lot of the things that I'm testifying is now came with an opportunity to actually pull it out. You got to remember, Gary Gashard never asked me these questions. He never dug into my case and said, this or that. And he never did that at all. Never made another statement, never sat down and ran down everything about my situation. He never did that. So it was never an option for me to think about speaking on all these different things at trial. It just wasn't an option that I was aware of at the time.
If I can have a moment, Your Honor.
You may.
So it has been brought up multiple times, and I'm not quite sure how it applies, but while you're testifying, I want to ask you, tell me about the abuse you suffered from your mother, because it's been mentioned multiple times now.
Verbal or physical?
I'm asking for abuse. You're the one who's going to tell us.
Okay, well, I can say, this is not something I just didn't want to make a big deal of, but growing up, my mom was very abusive, very frustrated, very angry. She was a fighter, so she was very aggressive to the point where, you're not just going to get beat. You're going to leave with something hurt or bruised or broke or cracked. That's how she was. And that was just frustration, I think, from life, I guess. But growing up, we most definitely was abused, without a doubt, especially in comparison to other people's, upbringing. We most definitely was abused. And I believe that, growing up, how you conditioned by fear, conditioned by physical force. If a child is conditioned that way, I do believe it affects how he thinks about resolution and, thinking and stuff like that. That's how I believe.
Mr. Singleton, I'm not asking about your impressions about what it might mean later on, but I was asking about the actual abuse itself. Can you tell us specifically what kind of abuse you suffer?
I can tell you, want me to tell you each incident one by one, or would you like to tell me just one that I can remember?
You can generalize it, but
Right, general categories, and I'm making this up, but if she hits you with a belt, you could say, I got hit with a belt every day or once a week. But you don't need to say, and on May 3rd, she hit me with a belt on my leg.
I've been hit with whatever object is close by, whether it be a stick, whether it be a vase, whether it be a belt, switch, whatever. That was constant, and that was, I would say, growing up, that was weekly. Before we go somewhere, we would have to get beat.
Why before you go somewhere?
Just to remind us not to act up.
okay. And when she'd beat you so that you would not act up when y'all went out, what is that, like a spanking? Is it something else? Like, what is it?
It's belts. It's this belt, most definitely, or switch. Depends on what she has available.
Okay. Can I ask you, was your mother present when y'all encountered Sergeant Grigley and Debbie Blaylock?
No.
Was your mother's name Melvin Grigley or Debbie Blaylock?
My mother's name?
Were either of them your mother?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Did your mother tell you to go participate in that event?
Not at all.
Did your mother tell you to do anything that night?
She told me she needed to get some bond money to get out. That's what she told me.
Okay. And so you had a motivation to go get money.
I had a motivation to go hustle.
Did she tell you to go harm anybody?
Not at all.
Okay. And did she force you to go harm anybody?
Not at all.
Okay.
When you say we, Mr. Singleton, I think I read that you had a sister who, like, you guys are going to go out, you're going to go to McDonald's, you get beaten beforehand and make sure you behave. Who's the we? How many kids were in the household?
My direct siblings was 4, but total was 6.
Okay. Were you treated any differently than your siblings?
I would say I was the go-to. So yeah,
Were you the only boy?
I was the oldest boy.
Oldest boy. Okay.
The second boy came 10 years later.
I think you testified that you were in a different state. What led to you going to that other state?
Conflict with guys in the area. Too much conflict.
And is there a reason that you came back to Georgia?
Yes, it is.
And what is that reason?
I didn't want to tell him my older cousin
For what?
for having a stolen car.
For having a stolen car or for stealing a car?
I can't say he stole the car, but when he got pulled over, he ran, and me and my little brother were still in the car. So they wanted to ask me who was this guy that ran. He had a ID tag hanging from the car. You know, they knew who he was, but I didn't want to tell him. And so I felt like I would have been forced to tell him if I had stayed. So I came back down to Georgia.
Okay. Your Honor, I believe that those are all my questions.
Do you have any brief redirect?
It should be done quicker. Talking about family violence, what about getting choked, getting beaten and fractured your ankle?
I can't hear him.
I need you to be at a microphone.
Okay.
I would also object to leading.
Okay, well, we'll do the question again.
The question asked you about family violence, and I'm asking you whether there were other incidents of family violence, getting choked, breaking your ankle.
The breaking my ankle part, choking was just that's just don't move type of situation, you know, get a good grip on you and beat you. That was that part. But the breaking my ankle part came when we lost the book bag, and I reached my hand up to grab the stick, and it accidentally like hit her or something, and she went crazy, and that's when it broke my ankle. You know what I mean? She cried too. That's how I know she had a problem. So yeah, it most definitely was several incidences like this. Not when my ankle was breaking, but it was just overly aggressive beatings. You can tell the difference between discipline and frustration.
You answered the state's questions that the Arlo shooting played a role in what happened in Clayton County. Remember that question in your answer? My question to you is, what about family violence? Did that play a role in Clayton County and or Fulton County?
I would say that, yes. I would say far as the mindset that I had at that time was a very paranoid, very fear-based mind. You know, don't want nothing to happen to me type of mind, but at the same time, I don't know. It just wasn't in the right space of mind, period.
The state asked you about any inappropriate actions by law enforcement, and you told us about the Kroger one. Was there also something that happened at the Metro RYDC?
Metro RYDC, me and Officer Story, she worked in medical. A friend of Grigley was an administrator, and as I was walking down the hallway, she just like ran at me, crying, and grabbed me. And Miss Stories separated us, and she was scolding the lady, and she was just crying about her friend who passed away. Officer Rob, during shower time, he didn't actually get a chance to hit me, but at the same time, it was just, how they was coming at me, in regards to the police dying. And in Clayton County, 4 officers forced me to put on the bloody clothes, the same clothes that they said I discarded. He forced me to put on the bloody clothes from the incident to go to court, and I'm showing him how old and bloody these clothes is. These are clothes that I got shot in now. How old and bloody these clothes is. They wanted me to put them on to go to court, and I was telling them not to. And it was really just that's when all 4 of them beat me and made me put on the clothes, absent the shirt.
And then also, what about when you gave the statement, officers that were sitting in the room with you before your mom came?
Oh, that wasn't like, that was no physical, but it was the gestures and, the snares and the undertone, what I'll do type of vibe, but it was never physical in the place where we did the statement. It was never physical, just the gestures and the, and the looks. You can tell the difference, but you know the difference. It's not even.
But were those remarks still threatening?
Most definitely was threatening. It just was nothing done. It was not like they closed in on me. I never said that they threatened me to make a statement. That's not what happened.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any other witnesses, Mr. Hort?
No, Your Honor, the defense rests.
All right. Are you planning on calling any witnesses, Mr. Armstrong?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, then I will view the evidence as closed.
You didn't put N in. You wanted to admit exhibit N?
Well, N is in limbo. N's going to stay in limbo.
Sorry.
That's okay. I appreciate you flagging that. Tell me what you'd like to do in terms of any summation, and I'll start with you, Mr. Hort. You could do a written summation. We could reconvene if there's something that you want to have spoken. You also can rely upon the transcript and my notes and the exhibits that have been admitted, because of course that's the record, not my notes, but the transcript and the exhibits, and I can move forward with that.
My thought was that I started preparation of a brief in support of our motion. I guess my thought, the court would be agreeable that if for some reason the court wants to ask us questions or address issues, then I certainly would be willing to come back. Otherwise, I'm comfortable relying on a brief.
Okay. I mean, I don't require a brief, but I don't prohibit them. So Mr. Armstrong, same question for you.
My preference would simply be one or the other, not both.
Okay. We'll do a written submission. And what I'll say is if you could get something within 2 weeks of whatever, Mr. Hort, I'm not going to give you a deadline. You'll submit what you submit when you submit it. I mean, I will if it's too much time has gone by, but I know you've already started it and your focus is on getting closure sooner, not later for Mr. Singleton. So you want a couple weeks after you get Mr. Hort's?
Yes, sir. I will say that work comes in ebbs and flows. Mm-hmm. And so there's a good likelihood that a 2-week period of time would probably be likely to be taken up by something else.
Okay, well, just let me know when you also may get something that's 400 pages long and you may want more time for that. It may be 2 pages long and then you may be able to fit something in. Let's have as a default 2 weeks after Mr. Hort submits his, which you're welcome to e-file, but make sure you email it to Ms. Hansberry and Mr. Armstrong. And then just reach out with an email saying, you know what, I'm gonna need an extra week or whatever it is you need. If it's a reasonable request, I'll grant it. And then I will certainly reach out to both sides if I've got a question, even if it's a question for one side. Mr. Armstrong, I need you to explain this. Mr. Hort, you'll have a chance to weigh in. My default will be to have that occur electronically rather than we reconvene everyone, not because I'm opposed to it. It's just more efficient for everyone if we do it that way. And I will get to work with my writing as well, and we will take it from there. I know you have some other motions that are outstanding. I'm not ignoring those. We're not going to cover those today. My focus is going to be first on the motion for new trial, and depending on how I rule there, it may make the other motions moot, or we still need to address them, or whatever.
And I just wanted to preview to the court what I thought today was tomorrow. My plan was to file something this afternoon in response to the motion for resentencing. Because
The amended one, there's a brand new one.
if it's from today, I've not seen it.
It might have been from yesterday. This week, I got something from Mr. Hort.
Yes, I believe it was earlier this week.
Okay.
But the law says that the state has to file an initial response to that within 60 days on the issue of whether we go to a hearing on that. And so I didn't want the court to think you received something after you just saw me. And what is Mr. Armstrong doing? It is because we are required within 60 days to file that on the issue of whether we get a hearing in the case.
Okay, got it. I was going to convene us, even if it's just via email, about what do we do with that motion after I spent some time on the motion for new trial. So you should file what you need to file, and we'll go forward from that.
Thank you, Judge.
The House bill, it's not completely clear, but I certainly would have no objection from that 60-day period running from Tuesday when I filed the amended motion.
Okay. Got it. Mr. Singleton, any questions?
No, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Well, thank you to the folks from GDC for making copy correctional available to us. Thank you, Ms. Burnett. We are back on tomorrow morning at 9, so I will see your icon then. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Leslie.
And let the record reflect we finished at 4:25, 5 minutes to spare.
Oh, this one says 429, so it might be just one.
No, this is closer to real time. The computer says 4:34, so you were over, but that clock I know is off. That's
Wait, that says 411, this one says 429, that says 425, that one says 433.
Yeah.
Not a single one is.
Hey, it's Fulton County. What would you expect? At least they're all on the same hour.
I thought that like once you connect to the internet.
I would think they'd all be on the same, because I can't change this clock. This one on my machine that says 4:34. If I try to make it say what those say, nope.
And now you're using Kevin to beat out the hall for 30 minutes.
Slowing us down.